Pei Jinan likes men. I happen to be one too. I think he's got real class. Having him as my first love, even if we break up, I won't have regrets. I went after Pei Jinan hard. He fell for me and laid down 3 rules. We date, we don't marry, we split after graduation. I happily agreed. We were together 3 years, living our love to the fullest. On graduation day, I brought up breaking up. But he backed out, said no. I was shocked. Didn't we agree? Split after graduation. Pei Jinan froze. Right then, he realized something. Turns out, from start to finish, he was the only one who fell deep. I clearly remember that day. We left things ugly. Pei Jinan lowered his proud head and laughed bitterly. Fan Feiqi, you better pray we never meet again. From then on, I avoided him. But fate has a funny way of working. The world gets small. 2 people always cross paths again. Pei Jinan and I silently followed an unspoken rule. We were only a couple on campus. Once we left campus, like during holidays, we'd go home separately and stop contacting each other. During those no-contact days, he was the famous Pei from City A, and I was nobody Fan Feiqi from City C. No texts, no calls. No asking where the other was, like we were both single. I figured this quirky arrangement would last till graduation and our breakup. But sophomore year, summer break was extra long. A full 80 days. Before leaving campus, Pei Jinan asked if I'd miss him. I hung on him and said, yeah, I'll miss you so much. He pinned me down and kissed me. He didn't say anything dumb like call me if you miss me. I always really liked that rational side of Pei Jinan. His family's elite. They'd never let him come out. We both knew we had no future. We were dating, probably just so he could cut loose before his real marriage. Fool around with me, another guy. On campus, Pei Jinan was my boyfriend. Off campus, when he became the Pei hair, he didn't want me messing with his life. I went along with it. Cooperated quietly, never crossed the line. I never imagined Pei Jinan would be the one to break that rule. Summer break dragged on. He messaged saying he'd come back early, a full month before we'd planned. I was surprised. I joked, asking why come back early, did he miss me? He never replied to that message. But after that, during long breaks, Pei Jinan would ask if I wanted to travel together. Most times, I happily said yes. We went to lots of cities, watched stars in the desert, saw sunsets on islands. I get really into the views, so Pei Jinan's sudden kisses always startled me. He loved cupping my face and kissing me from above. Real dominant move. With intimacy, Pei Jinan liked being in control. He was definitely a top. Liked giving, not receiving. But every time things got serious, I'd kill the mood and stop him. Pei Jinan's eyes would be full of desire, his throat working hard. He wouldn't say anything, just raise an eyebrow, silently asking what's wrong. My answer was always the same. I don't want to. Even with desire clawing at him, sweating all over. Whenever I said stop, he'd control himself. He'd go take a cold shower, come out, and just hold me while we slept. After I turned him down so many times, Pei Jinan seemed to figure out what I was thinking. When things started heating up again, before I could refuse, he'd get up on his own and go take a cold shower. There was one exception. That day, he saw a friend's message to me. He asked who it was. I didn't hide it. A friend from City C. He didn't say anything then. That night, he got pushy. I tried to push him away. He grabbed my wrist, pinned it to the headboard, kept going. I dodged his kiss and said, firmly, Jinan, I don't want to. Why not? He asked, because of that friend in City C. Such a proud guy, but when he got jealous, he was like a mad dog, impossible to calm down. I never said it outright, but Pei Jinan must have understood, even though I'm a guy. The gay scene has always been messy, but deep down, I wanted real commitment and forever companionship. I could never bring myself to go all the way with Pei Jinan, because I knew clearly he wouldn't be the one staying by my side in the end. Pei Jinan was a gentleman. He got what I was thinking and never forced me. Junior year, spring semester. The breakup we'd agreed on was coming up fast. Thinking about ending things, I couldn't help feeling sad. To avoid future pain, I started mentally preparing to let go. That year's trip, Pei Jinan planned Iceland. Second day on the Snæfellsnes Peninsula, I was still jet, lagging asleep when a bunch of people barged in. They forced me into a suit and took me outside to a carriage. I had no idea when Pei Jinan arranged all this. He and I had a wedding at the Black Church at the end of the world, officiated by a real priest. No guests. Just the 2 of us. A wedding nobody would recognize. Not till we exchanged rings did I finally get it. Why he out of nowhere asked me for a ring as this year's birthday gift. It was just so at this moment, I'd have a ring to give. It was a meaningless ceremony. We both knew that. But that night, when Pei Jinan was breathing hard, about to go take a cold shower, I stopped him. I pushed him down on the bed and kissed him hard. He shuddered all over and gasped my name. Chia. I told him, Pei Jinan, don't be dense. We got married today. Doesn't matter anymore. I thought, whatever happens later. Just for today, I'll let myself go. Just this once. I thought it'd be just once. Turned out to be many times. Some lines, once you cross them, you lose the ground to stand on. You just keep breaking them, falling back again and again. Pei-Jinan and I both lost control. Couldn't stop. I told myself it was just a countdown indulgence. Leave behind a little wildness, worth it for having Pei-Jinan even briefly. I wasn't sure when Pei-Jinan would bring up breaking up. After all, our original deal was, we date, we don't marry, we split after graduation. No specific day mentioned. I waited anxiously for a while, but he never brought it up. My flight back to City C was already booked. No time left to drag things out. Pei-Jinan and I needed a proper goodbye. I asked him to meet at a quiet restaurant near campus and broke up with him. I'd imagined how Pei-Jinan would react. I figured he'd stick to his usual style. Accept it calmly, then say goodbye, like a gentleman. I didn't expect him to look at me quietly and say, no. I didn't get it. I stared at him, confused. No what? He looked deep into my eyes. Gee, I don't want to break up. My mind suddenly went into chaos. Pei-Jinan was never the type to go back on his word. He always kept his promises, did what he said. So I'd always firmly believed breaking up was a done deal. Never imagined he'd back out. When did he change his mind? I never noticed. I started to panic inside, because I'd never planned on a future with Pei-Jinan. Splitting after graduation, that deal, to me, was perfect. Pei-Jinan changing his mind last minute caught me completely off guard. I couldn't speak, just stared at him in disbelief. My reaction was probably way off from what he expected. His voice took on an edge of urgency. I know what you're worried about. Chi, give me 5 years. In 5 years, I promise, the Pei family won't interfere with my marriage anymore. Then we'll have another wedding. Invite family and friends to witness it. We'll tell the whole world, fair and square, that we belong only to each other. Chi, he asked me, what do you say? Facing his hopeful question, I looked away guilty, forced myself, and stammered out, didn't we agree? Split after graduation. Pei-Jinan clearly froze. He asked automatically, what? At this point, if I didn't make things clear, it just caused more confusion. I took a deep breath and said bluntly, I want to break up. Pei-Jinan's gaze shot over like a blade, almost painful. He rested his arms casually on the table, looking straight at me, radiating a terrifying intensity. Why? The word had a faint, deathly stillness. More than confused, he seemed to want me to say it out loud. I'd never felt this kind of pressure from Pei-Jinan before. With a get it over with attitude, I blurted out everything. Because I don't want the trouble. Your family status, I know I can't reach. Nah, you're the famous Pei heir of City A. Fooling around with a guy like me is fine. But you get serious, would your family even allow it? Once I'm with you, the future's full of endless problems. Honestly, I don't want to deal with all that. So I actually never planned on staying with you long term. By the end, my voice dropped. I suddenly realized, compared to Pei-Jinan, I seemed really cruel. He was planning our future with care. I was calculating gains and losses. Like on our shared battlefield, he was ready to fight for me with everything. And I'd already prepared to flee. And I wasn't planning to look back. I'd said everything that needed saying. I stood up in a panic, tossed out like I was running away. I'm leaving. Take care. I turned. My arm was grabbed, like an iron clamp, stubbornly refusing to let go. I looked back flustered. Pei-Jinan sat at the table, looking up at me. Such a proud man, but now he looked like he'd been caught in the rain, radiating an icy chill. He asked, if you never planned a future with me, why make me think you love me? My breath caught. I faked anger and shook off his hand. Pei-Jinan, since we agreed to split after graduation, then let's keep it clean. Stop dragging this out. Pei-Jinan's eyes flickered with pain. He gave a bitter smile and stood up from the chair. His tall frame instantly cast me in shadow. He stood straight, refusing to bend, so he just lowered his eyelids and looked down at me. Fan Feiqi, you better pray we never cross paths again. Otherwise, I don't know what I'll do. I kept my face blank, but my palms were slick with sweat. I felt some regret. I shouldn't have started things with him. That day, I fled the restaurant and ran back to City C without looking back. From then on, even when traveling, I made sure to avoid City A. I thought I'd never see Pei-Jinan again in this lifetime. But in the end, man's plans are nothing against fate's. My cousin married into money and invited me to her wedding. The wedding was in City A. When I found out, I flatly turned down the invite. But the groom's side screened the bride's family guest list and only circled me as worthy to attend. In other words, my cousin's parents weren't allowed at her wedding. Among family and friends, besides me, only a few bridesmaids got permission to attend. My cousin's mom, my aunt, came to my door personally to ask me, hoping I, as the only family representative, could be there for my cousin. I was forced to accept this ridiculous responsibility. We were put up in a luxury hotel. My cousin was getting married the next day, leaving from the hotel. The night before the wedding, some girl added my cousin on WeChat. She sent over a dozen photos of her getting cozy with the groom-to-be, plus a video. 20 miles from the hotel, there was a bachelor party happening at a villa. Guys and girls, barely dressed, partying hard. In the video, some hot girl was making out with the groom, full on kissing. My cousin calmly shut off her phone, called me and the other 6 bridesmaids over, and said, "Come on, let's crash their party." I never thought I'd see Pei-Jin again. City A is huge, after all. I figured, what are the odds? 4 years later, first time in City A, and I run straight into him. But fate really loves to mess with you. My cousin was there to make a statement. She didn't hold back, slapped the girl right across the face. The girl wasn't having it, looked to the groom for backup, but he just stood there smirking. No plans to defend her. The groom's last name is Wu Tianhao. The girl didn't know my cousin and Wu Tianhao had agreed on some ground rules before getting married. Whatever Wu Tianhao did outside, my cousin could turn a blind eye. Only rule if any of his side pieces showed up to provoke her. When she dealt with them, Wu Tianhao couldn't interfere. The girl totally misjudged how much she mattered to Wu Tianhao. My cousin grabbed her by the hair and threw her out. Wu Tianhao acted like nothing happened, casually shut the door, then wrapped his arm around my cousin's waist all cheerful, saying, "Don't be rude. Since you're here, go say hi to third brother." My cousin had just been in a scuffle. Her collar was torn, hair a total mess. She calmly straightened herself out and said, "Okay, let me clean up. I'll be right there." Wu Tianhao left my cousin and went ahead. Over there was a table of people, all gorgeous, well dressed. Not sure if they were playing games or just talking. Either way, compared to the noise by the pool, that area seemed quiet. My cousin glanced that way, then sneakily waved the bridesmaids closer, whispering to them, "See that table?" Except for the guy in the middle, the rest are fair game. The guy in the middle she mentioned, I looked over out of curiosity, and froze instantly. Took me a while to look away. I saw him. He didn't see me. It was Pei Jingnan. 4 years older, Pei Jingnan looked different from what I remembered. Gone was the boyish look. His features now deeper, more composed, with an air of refined confidence. Among the bridesmaids, the prettiest Wang looked at him and asked my cousin reluctantly, "Why not him?" My cousin tugged the girl's arm, her tone unusually serious. "Him, he's out of our league. Don't even think about it, or you'll get burned." The girl's name is Yinbing. She's the proud type. She just said, "Ok, coolly," like she got the message. I said I wasn't good at socializing, so I'd skip saying hello. My cousin dragged me forward anyway. "You're my brother. You gotta back me up." I couldn't fight her, so I followed behind. Quietly making my way to that table, my cousin called Pei-Jin third brother, very politely saying hello. Pei-Jin was as courteous as always, though not entirely the same. There was a distance to him now, making him seem friendly on the surface, but actually hard to approach. My cousin smiled brightly. "Didn't know third brother was here. Would have brought my girls over to join you earlier." Yinbing picked up on that smoothly. She confidently greeted Pei-Jin, following my cousin's lead. "Hello, third brother." Pei-Jin glanced at her, a faint smile on his face. A young guy next to him tried to smooth things over. Not many people get to call him third brother. "Miss, you should call him young Master Meng like the rest of us." Yinbing playfully stuck out her tongue and apologized. "My bad, young Master Meng." I silently praised her for her quick thinking, smoothly diffusing the awkwardness. But then my cousin suddenly spoke up. "Third brother, this is my cousin, Fan Feiqi." After she spoke, she stepped aside, completely exposing me from the shadows. Suddenly the spotlight was on me, several pairs of eyes landing on me. The one straight ahead was especially sharp. The moment it locked on, I felt an intense pressure hit me head on. I knew there was no escaping, so I slowly looked up, meeting his gaze. Seeing that familiar yet strangely distant face, I clenched my hands, pretending to stay calm, and smiled. "Hello, young Master Meng." Pei-Jin's lips pressed into a tight line. He stared at me, not saying a word. His whole demeanor was ice cold. The atmosphere wasn't actually that bad. We both put on a good act. No one noticed anything off between us. My cousin kept introducing her friends. The bridesmaids were actively trying to blend in with the table. Pei-Jin's friends were all pretty friendly. No one snubbed my cousin, and the vibe stayed lively. Until Pei-Jin suddenly said, "Fan Feiqi." He called my name out of nowhere. Not loud, but it instantly silenced the room. My heart skipped a beat, and I instinctively looked at him. He sat on the couch, looking up at me, his expression unreadable. Slowly letting 4 words escape his throat, he said, "Long time no see." Then, dead silence. After a few seconds, my cousin found her voice sounding shocked. "Cousin, you and third brother, you know each other?" The question was now right in front of me. I hesitated, thinking carefully before giving an answer. "We went to the same school." Pei-Jin had been staring at me. At that, his body stiffened slightly. He stood up from the couch, walking toward me slowly, his movements deliberate, a heavy tension surrounding him, like a storm cloud rumbling with thunder. He stopped in front of me, almost self-mocking, asked, "So I don't even qualify as an ex-boyfriend?" I wasn't expecting him to say that. Caught off guard, I had no response. 裴金安 seemed impatient. Looked at Wu Tianhao, said, "Let's wrap this up, time to go." Wu Tianhao immediately called off. "Yeah, that's it for today. Party's over. Everyone." Party ended. Pai Jinan grabbed my wrist. "I'll take you back." "No need I." Where he held me felt like an electric current. And I didn't pull away, letting him lead me away from all the prying eyes behind us. The car glided silently down the road. Window shut. Siang. The hotel was 30 minutes away at most, but we never reached it. I watched the scenery sliding past the window, slowly realizing the car I was in was just circling city aimlessly. I didn't ask. I pretended not to notice. Pei Jinan just kept driving, armlessly, until I finally broke the silence. I said, "Pei Jin, I'm tired." He stared straight ahead, like he hadn't heard me. But a moment later, he turned the wheel around. 30 minutes later, the car stopped outside the hotel. I unbuckled my seatbelt, opened the door, hesitated for a few seconds but said nothing. Got out and left. "She." A voice called from behind. I stopped and looked back. Pei Jin's hand rested on the steering wheel. His eyes locked on me, expression unreadable. I stayed cold, silent. He got no response. Like he couldn't stand my coldness. His eyelids lowered, hiding whatever emotion was there. That when he looked again and like nothing happened, he said to me, "Good night." I gave a short mim, turned and rushed off, my mind a mess. The second I got back to the hotel, my cousin called. "Cousin, you and third brother." I knew what she wanted to ask. I cut her off. "There's nothing between us." "Oh, okay. That's good then," she said. "That's good." But my cousin wasn't convinced. "Cousin, don't be mad at me for butting in. You might not know about Pei Jin's family situation. People like him, we really can't reach. Don't do anything stupid and ruin your life. He has a fiancée, Zhu Yinyin. You might not have heard of her. The Zhu family's most treasured daughter, a real princess. Even Wu Tianhao's mom has to watch herself around her. Cousin, if you get involved." I cut her off again, rubbing my temples. "I know. I know about Pei Jin's family, and that I know who his fiancée is. Don't worry about it." "Oh, you already knew." My cousin finally relaxed a bit. "That's good then. Okay, I'm hanging up." "Okay." After hanging up, I held my phone. Sitting alone on the couch, spacing out. I couldn't stop thinking about Pei Jin. After seeing him today, every move he made, every subtle expression, his tone of voice, the way he looked at me, all played on a loop in my head. I was shocked that I remembered every single frame so clearly. I let out a deep breath, leaning back on the couch, covering my eyes with my arm. Gave myself 5 more minutes, forcing myself to pull away from those memories, burying Pei Jin deep where I couldn't see or touch. Worst wedding I've ever seen. My cousin's wedding. My cousin's mother-in-law's last name is Wu. Wu Tianhao took his mother's last name. Mrs. Wu is a strong personality. Wu Tianhao went against her wishes and insisted on marrying my cousin. Mrs. Wu was not happy about it, only because she couldn't stand up to her. After making a bunch of unreasonable demands and getting them met, Mrs. Wu reluctantly agreed to let my cousin marry into the Wu family. My cousin's life as a rich wife wasn't easy. That became clear at the wedding. Mrs. Wu arranged the whole reception, and my cousin followed behind her the whole time, head down. If she said one thing wrong, or did something that didn't please Mrs. Wu, she got an earful. My cousin got torn down so much she couldn't hold her head up to force a smile and play the bride. Mrs. Wu didn't see my cousin as anyone important, and naturally, the guests my cousin invited, she treated like heir too. At one point, while making toasts, my cousin called a guest by the wrong name. That guest was someone Mrs. Wu valued. Mrs. Wu's face changed instantly, and after apologizing to the guest she couldn't hold it anymore, dragged my cousin to a private room and tore into her. No one dared to help my cousin. Before marrying my cousin, Wu Tianhao made it clear to her, he's mom and the type, and a real rich girl probably couldn't handle his future mother-in-law. One of his conditions for marrying my cousin was that she had to put up with his mom's bad temper. My cousin agreed. And now that my cousin was getting hassled by her mother-in-law, Wu Tianhao didn't want to get involved at all, let alone help her out. As for the other 6 bridesmaids, they were terrified of Mrs. Wu, all of them playing dead, heads down. I was the only one who couldn't stand it. My cousin, no matter what, was my little sister growing up. I couldn't watch her be so helpless. The scolding coming from the room was full of contempt and insults. I couldn't take it. Knocked on the door and walked right in. Realizing someone dared to barge in without permission, Mrs. Wu raised her eyebrows, displeased. Before she could speak, I said politely, "Mom, the guests are waiting for the next part." Recognizing me as my cousin's family, Mrs. Wu glanced at me sideways, chin up, her voice dripping with cold arrogance. "Who said you could come in? No manners. Get out." My cousin's face went pale with embarrassment. Maybe she thought she could handle her mother-in-law's cruelty, but in that moment, she realized it wasn't as simple as she thought. I don't know if she regrets it. She should know that after the wedding, real life is just beginning. I had no intention of clashing with Mrs. Wu. After all, my cousin will need to make a living under her from now on. Not wanting to make things awkward, I deliberately chose softer words. The bride's makeup is smudged, it needs fixing. How about I take her to touch up her makeup, and you can cool off a bit. However, Mrs. Wu wasn't buying it. She seemed too disdainful to talk to me, only directing her cutting sarcasm at my cousin. So these are your relatives. Typical of people like you. A light knock on the door interrupted Mrs. Wu. A tall figure stood in the doorway. He looked right at me, ignoring everyone else. His tone was casual. Been looking for you forever. What are you doing here? I didn't catch his intention. Not until I heard Mrs. Wu ask tentatively. Third young master knows Mimi's cousin. She didn't even know my last name. She just called me Mimi's cousin. My cousin jumped at the lifeline, eager to speak up. Send my brother or classmates. I see. A laugh escaped Mrs. Wu, soft and light. A complete turnaround from her harsh tone earlier. She took my cousin's hand and patted it gently. Mimi, you should spend more time with your cousin. He's clearly capable, decisive, well-spoken, and knows how to conduct himself. My cousin choked. I couldn't find words either. We were both shocked, speechless by this complete 180. Mrs. Wu's attitude toward me did a 180. And my cousin benefited by association. The wedding proceeded normally. All thanks to Pei Jinan. Pei Jinan sat down next to me, all long limbs. He asked me, after the wedding, you're heading back to City C, right? I stared at the wedding stage. I didn't look at him. My answer sounded dismissive. Yes. Tomorrow morning's flight. Already got the ticket. He paused briefly, looked up at the sky, his voice dropping low. Well, City A has a lot of interesting places. If you're interested, I could show you around. No thanks, sir. I refuse with hesitation. I have work when I get back. Pei Jinan paused, his gaze unfocused. He asked again, what time tomorrow morning? I'll take you. No need. It's easy to get a cab from the hotel. Fan Fei Shi. His voice suddenly rose a notch. My heart clenched. Then I heard him say, no matter what, all I'll ever get from you is rejection, isn't it? Actually, his constant backing down had already cornered me. With a surge of determination, I blurted out, I have a boyfriend. We're at the point where we're planning to meet each other's parents. Pei Jinan froze like someone had struck him mute. I thought, maybe I should change my flight. As soon as my cousin's wedding ends, I'll head straight back to City C. No need to wait until tomorrow. However, before I could mention leaving early, my cousin beat me to it with a plea. Brother, could you come stay at the Wu house with me for a bit before you leave? She pressed her palms together, her eyes full of pleading. She was hoping I'd stay. That way, Mrs. Wu, out of consideration for me, might make her life a little easier. But Mrs. Wu wasn't showing me any consideration. It was all about Pei Jin. And what right did I have to borrow Pei Jin's influence? I was firm. No, I'm leaving first thing tomorrow. My cousin tugged at my wrist, wheedling like a child. Brother, just stay a few more days. Wu Tianhao's mom is mean and awful. Keep me company a few more days so I can adjust. I yanked my hand away coldly, not sparing her feelings. Funny. From the day you decided to marry Wu Tianhao, you should have known everything you'd face is a consequence you'd have to bear. She didn't expect me to lay it out so bluntly. My cousin looked humiliated. Mortified, she snapped back. Fine, forget it then. I just wanted you to spend a few more days in CDA. Her excuse on the fly was laughably flimsy. I didn't call her out. My cousin's marriage, just as she wanted, achieved a class leap for her. Her family moved from the county seat to City C into a big villa. Hired drivers and housekeepers, got driven around in luxury cars. That kind of wealth made everyone envious. Everyone praised my cousin for being successful, her parents living the good life to their daughter. But who sees the swallowing of pride behind all that fortune? Even the most ordinary couple has family troubles to deal with. Let alone someone with nothing marrying into a glittering wealthy family. The marriage is unequal. The stronger party looks at the weaker one, naturally feels she doesn't deserve to hold her head high. And this was just what my cousin considered a wealthy family. With Pei Jinin, there's an insurmountable chasm. You don't have to personally take that path to know the torrent will crush you to pieces. My cousin chose the path I abandoned. On that path, besides Pei Jinin, everything else is thorns. One wrong step, and it's an abyss. When I harshly warned my cousin, wasn't I also warning myself? When Pei Jinan kept approaching me, and I kept rejecting him, and he showed that heartbroken look. When he heard me say I had a boyfriend, his whole face went ashen, frozen in place. I couldn't ignore what I truly felt inside. My heart ached. When we broke up, Pei Jin said it was best we never meet again, or he couldn't guarantee what he might do. Turns out he meant it. Only by staying far enough away from him, so far we'd never meet again. Only then could I seem to control myself. Otherwise, I was afraid I'd become that stupid donkey chasing a dangling apple. Desperate for that apple, I'd dive headfirst into blades and flames, without hesitation. I was desperate to escape City A. However, fate had other plans. On the way to the airport, I got into a car accident. After a piercing screech of brakes, the car spun wildly. My leg got pinned, my head hit something and blood. In a daze, I heard the wail of an ambulance approaching. I woke up in the hospital. Pei Jinan was by my side. He held my hand, his lips pressed to the back of it. His eyes were bloodshot, like he'd been through hell. The doctor said I was lucky. In that accident, The driver died on the spot. I only had a mild concussion, plus a hairline fracture in my right tibia with slight displacement. Treatment was simple. Reset the bone, put it in a cast, and come back weekly for X-rays. If it healed well, and the bone didn't shift, I could avoid surgery. If the displacement got worse, surgery would be needed. Either way, I couldn't put weight on my foot. I had to rest like an invalid. Now that I was awake, there was no reason to keep taking up Peijin's time. I urged him to go home and rest. He seemed like he still hadn't recovered from the shock of me nearly dying in that crash. His face looked terrible. He asked me, if I leave, who's going to take care of you? I can hire a caregiver. A caregiver won't do. I'm not comfortable with that. I'll call my cousin in a bit. Your cousin went on her honeymoon with Wu Tianhao. She won't be back anytime soon. I was at a loss for words. In City A, aside from my cousin, I didn't know anyone else. Maybe I could ask my parents for help. But thinking about mom and dad flying all that way, possibly running into Peijin, I instinctively rejected the idea. My connection with Peijin couldn't get any more tangled. Seeing my dilemma, Peijin suddenly asked, what about your boyfriend? You came to City A for a wedding. He didn't come with you. You got into a car accident. You've thought of everyone, except having him come take care of you. My heart skipped a beat. I looked at Peijin and warily, catching my nervous glance. Peijin's expression didn't change at all. He said, "Chi, I know you're lying." He called me out with certainty. I had no excuse. I pressed my lips together and closed my eyes, playing dead. I insisted on paying for a caregiver. Peijin, for once stubborn, dragged me back to his place. A large flat. His own place. I was put in the master bedroom. His room. He seemed to have nothing but time, constantly hovering around me. I had no choice but to fool myself to sleep. I figured once I fell asleep, he'd get bored and leave. With that in mind, every time Peijin came into the room, I pretended to be asleep. I thought he'd leave. I didn't expect. He'd sit right down on the edge of the bed. Soon after, I felt a faint touch, brushing aside the hair on my forehead, sliding down to my nose. When it reached my lips, it lingered. Then came a tingling current, the rough texture of a finger rubbing gently against my lips. I suddenly realized he was tracing my features with his finger. The image of long, slender fingers hovering just above my face. Peijin leaning over, gazing at me. My heart pounded violently, deafeningly loud. I deeply regretted pretending to be asleep. Would waking up now seem too obvious? The moment I thought that, the bed suddenly dipped. Then Peijin's burning breath fell on my lips. My heart stopped. I hadn't made up my mind yet. Before I could think further, his kiss landed. I jerked up in shock and pushed him away. He ignored my pushing. One hand braced against the bed, the other sliding under my head, deepening the kiss until we both stopped, gasping for breath. A tangled knot of emotions I couldn't name sat heavy in my chest. Furious, I exploded at him. Why are you doing this? Is it because I dumped you, so you've obsessed over it all these years? You won't stop until you force me to be with you, is that it? Hearing that, Peijin's whole presence darkened. I watched him clench his jaw, ball his fists, take several deep breaths before barely managing to steady his voice and utter one word, "Chi, don't provoke me." I glared at him, angry at his advances, angry at my own pathetic resistance. I was supposed to stay away from him, like I had for the past 4 years. Not end up retreating in defeat every time he got close. Deliberately gave Peijin the cold shoulder, using coldness to build an impenetrable wall between us, clearly defining what I considered a safe distance. Whenever Peijin crossed that distance, I'd push him back with indifference. Peijin understood this unspoken rule I'd drawn all too well. He went along with it, then recklessly tested the limits of what I could tolerate. Over time, we developed this strange, delicate relationship. Like a wildly unstable seesaw, both of us working together not to break the precarious balance we barely maintained. My leg injury needed 4 to 6 weeks of rest, and during that time Peijin only went out once. Coincidentally, the day he went out, an unexpected guest showed up. Peijin's sister, Pei Xingshen. Peijin had hired 2 caregivers to look after me at home. One of the caregivers led Pai Xingshen. I'd never met Peijin's family, or even his friends. I barely knew any of them. But Pei Xingshen got straight to the point. She said, "I knew third brother wasn't home today, so I came on purpose while he was out to see you. What should I call you? Third sister-in-law, or brother Chi?" I said calmly, "You can call me Fan Feishi." Pei Xingshen sat down in the chair. That chair was usually Peijin's spot. Right, by the bed, close to me. After sitting, Pei Xingshen said nothing, just studied me with big, bright eyes. I wasn't used to being stared at like that, so I asked her, "You came here on purpose to see me. Is there something you need?" "I'm just curious." Pei Xingshen smiled sweetly. Wanted to see what the man who has my third brother completely spellbound looks like. I couldn't figure out her real intention, so I didn't rush to ask. I waited patiently for her to get to the point herself. Sure enough, after a short wait, Pei Xingshen asked me, "Brother Chi, when will your leg heal?" I answered, "Going to the hospital for a checkup next week. If everything's fine, the cast can come off." "That's great. Next Friday is my birthday. If you're free, you could come to my birthday party." "Sorry," I refused without a second's hesitation. By then, I'll have already left City A. "You're really not coming?" I invited Zhu Yinyin. She's my third brother's fiancée. There it is. That's the real reason she came to see me today. I smiled and dodged the whole Zhu Yingying topic on purpose. Gave her some throwaway answer. Got work to handle. Gotta get back. Pai Xingsheng clearly hates beating around the bush. When I didn't take the bait, she just asked me straight up. Qi, aren't you curious about Zhu Yingying? I said flat out, not curious. She choked for a second, then started up again. Come to think of it, this is our first time meeting. Doesn't it seem weird that I know your name? I caught the hidden meaning in that. Wasn't surprised. I said honestly. Figured Pei Jinan mentioned me. Pei Xingsheng laughed. Nope. Third brother never mentioned you once. He didn't want to cause you trouble. He's been super careful. Never told anyone about you. But we're not idiots. After third brother graduated college, he could have kept studying. But he rushed to come work for the family. He worked like crazy. Whatever they threw at him, he got it done. Mom and dad were thrilled, thought third brother was ambitious. Until he used all that success to make demands. First thing he asked for, break off the engagement with him. That's when Mom knew something was up. She had him investigated. That's how she found you. Mom told me your name. And a lot more about you. Like how you dumped third brother without looking back. Went back to City C and became a TV reporter. Once, you interviewed some fruit farmers. Saw they were struggling. All their hard work rotting in the fields. Couldn't sell anything. You felt for them. So you quit the TV station. Started from zero in the fruit wholesale business. Your worst year, you lost big. But you bit down hard. Didn't cheat the farmers out of a dime. Hustled everywhere and made it through. Now you run a huge fruit market. Got your own fruit app. Sales are solid. Am I right, Sha? Yeah, you're right. I kept my cool, but I was rattled. Never realized I'd been watched all these years. Some pair of eyes in the shadows, spying on me. And I had no clue. Pei Xingsheng seemed to read my mind. She softened her look apologetically. Qi, I hope you don't mind that we kept such close tabs on you. It's just that third brother got obsessed over you. After you two broke up 4 years ago, first he demanded to break the engagement. Then he went off on his own behind everyone's back. Dad wanted third brother to work with big brother. But third brother turned him down. Father and son went at it big time. Honestly, thank God we got a lot of kids. Third brother still had big brother and second brother holding things down. Realizing she got inside trap, Pei Xingsheng pulled the conversation back. She sounded sincere. Qi, my family's pretty complicated. Forget about you and my brother both being men. Even with regular relationships, anyone who marries into our family gets picked over by the elders. Boy, they give the okay. Be helped. For regular people, a failed marriage just means splitting assets. For us, it could mean the whole family goes down. So we have to be careful. Compared to some random nobody. Kids who grew up in families like ours, they get what's at stake. That's why they're better matches for us. Of course, it's not always true. Take my parents. They think really highly of you. We're not stuck in the past. We can accept same-sex partners. The family said it's like gaining another son. She paused there, then went on. My third brother already broke it off with Zhu Yinyan. He's single now. Actually, to be exact, the whole 4 years you two were apart, he stayed single. Nobody else. I couldn't help asking, did your third brother send you here to convince me? Pei Xingsheng shook her head hard. Mom sent me. I'm Mom's messenger. I couldn't tell how much of what Pei Xingsheng said was true. Thought for a second, then asked her, your birthday party, can I still come? Of course. You're totally welcome. She looked thrilled. Qi, what made you change your mind? Because I remembered the year we broke up. Pei Jinan begged me for 5 years. I turned him down cold. I thought the 5-year deal was dead. Turns out he stuck to it all by himself. If what Pei Xingsheng said is true, Pei Jinan's already done so much quietly. Least I can do is have the guts to step into his world and see it for myself. I just want to choose the life I want. Doesn't make me a coward. That evening, after hearing Pei Xingsheng came by, first thing Pei Jinan did when he got home was come to my room to ask what his sister and I talked about. I told him the truth. She invited me to her birthday party. Seeing I didn't look upset, he relaxed, asked me, you going? I lied and said no. That answer seemed like what he expected. He nodded, didn't say anything, just had this quiet sadness all around him. Got the cast off Thursday. Pei Jinan made up some excuse about needing to get used to walking again. Made me stay another night. Next day, I woke up and he was gone. Figured he left for the party. Pushed open the bathroom door without thinking. Pei Jinan had just showered, shirtless, drying his hair with a towel in front of the mirror. Got a full view of his toned body. And that necklace around his neck. I hadn't even noticed he was wearing one before. I felt awkward, like I walked in on something I shouldn't have. Muttered sorry real quick, and turned to leave. He grabbed me and pulled me in. Pressed me against the bathroom counter. Looking in the mirror, I could see clearly. Pei Jinan's tall frame right behind me. Damp hair soft against his face. His expression was blank, like he'd been holding everything in so long. All that intensity was trapped just under the surface. Quietly going crazy. His bangs cast shadows over his eyes. Pei Jinan lifted his dark gaze to meet mine in the mirror. I asked, will you leave? My mind went blank. What? His voice was low and rough. When I get home tonight, will you still be here? Didn't give me time to answer. He suddenly grabbed my face with his thumb and finger, turned it to the side. My head tilted with the pressure. He leaned down and pressed his lips to my exposed neck. A wave of burning heat. I trembled in his arms. Complained, it'll show. He thought I didn't want Marks, didn't want him close. Even though his body was wound tight with need, he stopped. Just buried his face in my neck, slowly catching his breath. Like no matter how many times it happened, if I said stop, he could hold back. Something ached in my chest. I turned and hugged him, pressed my face to his chest. I'm not leaving today. Doesn't matter where you go, what you do, how late you are. I'll wait for you, okay? Pei Jinan froze in disbelief, then pulled me into his arms and held me tight. I only had one reason for going to the party. To meet Pei Jinan's mother, Madame Mo. If Pai Xingxing didn't lie, she was sent by Madame Mo. Since Madame Mo sent her ahead of time, and made such a big deal of inviting me to the party, Madame Mo would definitely be there. Sure enough, I saw Madame Mo. She was the center of attention. Among all those dressed-up ladies, she had her own standout elegance. I did hesitate. Thinking about those 4 years of being watched, thinking about how even without the elders making trouble, being with Pei Jinan meant endless hassles. Thinking about how once I took this step, there'd be no going back to a quiet life. I did stop for a second. But then I thought of Pei Jinan. If he's going to insist, I can't stand watching him struggle alone anymore. Pushed all the noise aside. I walked straight to Madame Mo. Madame Mo had seen me early on. She wasn't in a rush. Waited until I walked right up to her to smile. I got straight to the point. Madame Mo, hello, I'm Fan Feiqi. May I be in love with your son Pei Jinan? Madame Mo and I, we both knew. I wasn't asking for permission. I was asking for equality. Mo nodding yes meant that being with Pei Jinan, I'd get respect from his family. They'd see me as an equal, not look down on me, for anyone. Entering a relationship with marriage in mind, that matters. Guest of honor Pei Xingsheng walked in arm with Pei Jinan. She wore a poofy princess dress today. Her smile was bright and sunny, surrounded by well wishes, happy as a carefree kid. Pei Jinan played the prince role by his sister's side. Halfway through the party, a young woman suddenly rushed in, threw herself into Pei Jinan's arms, pushed Pei Xingsheng right to the side. The girl seemed really upset. Buried her face in Pei Jinan's chest, gripped his waist tight, shoulders shaking with sobs. Zhu Yinyin, what are you doing? Pai Xingsheng rushed to pull her off Pei Jinan. The girl twisted her arm and shook her off. To avoid trouble, Pei Jinan put both hands up like he was surrendering, let her cry in his arms. He wasn't about to hug or comfort her. He didn't know I was there. Pei Xingsheng knew. She saw me watching and looked panicked. Quietly signaled to Pei Jinan, third brother, she's watching. Pei Jinan turned his head. Next second he raised his eyebrows in surprise, yanked Zhu Yinyin out of his arms fast. Zhu Yinyin looked startled to be pulled away. Was about to go back to Pei Jinan, but all she saw was Pei Jinan walking fast toward me. Her teary eyes went back and forth between me and Pei Jinan. Then she threw herself crying into Pai Xingxing's arms. Pei Jinan walked right up to me. He looked frantic. His explanation was all over the place. She just threw herself at me. I didn't expect it. She and Xingsheng are the same to me. Just little sisters. I felt bad about breaking the engagement. So in public, I didn't want to embarrass her. That's why I didn't push her away right away. I scooted over on the love seat, made room, and patted it for Pei Jinan. Sit down and talk. My neck hurts looking up at you. He sat down next to me immediately. Kept his eyes on me nervously, like he was trying to figure out if I was mad. I reached over and grabbed his suit collar, pulled him close, slipped my other hand into his collar, hooked the necklace around his neck. What's on the chain is my ring, right? The wedding we had at that black church. The ring he gave me. When we broke up, I gave it back to him. That day, I saw it. The ring on the chain around his neck. Turns out he'd been wearing it secretly all along. I unclasped the necklace, took off the ring, put it back on. Still fit perfectly. Suddenly felt this rush. I asked Pei Jinan, would it be rude if we left early? He didn't seem to get what I wanted to do, but he answered anyway. Nope. Then let's go. I want to be alone with you. Pei Jinan, I miss you so much. I never told him that I'd been dying inside too. I missed him every single day. Later I asked Pei Jinan, if I hadn't gone to CDA, hadn't run into him again, would we have just missed each other forever? He held me tight. Che. Haven't you figured it out? What I promised would take 5 years to do. I did it in 4. I was scared 5 years was too long, that you'd forget me. So I rushed and pushed to get to you sooner. All that talk about it being better not to see each other. Lies. If you didn't come, I would have come to you. We wouldn't have missed each other. Because I'll always run straight to you.